Hello, my name is Ray Hughes, and I'm an interviewer for the Veterans History Project conducted by the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. Locally administered here at the Cincinnati Hamilton County Public Library by Brian Powers, who is our cameraman today. Today's date is the 16th of May, 2019. It's a Thursday, and this interview is being conducted at the Cincinnati Hamilton County Public Library. And today we have the honor and privilege of interviewing a Korean War veteran, Joe Assen Kiradjieff.
Yes.
It's a pleasure.
Joe is a nickname.
Joe, it's a pleasure to meet you, sir. Is it all right to call you Joe?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Joe, if you would, what's your date of birth and where were you born?
11/9/29. It was in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Can you recall what hospital you were born in?
I think it was Bethesda, but I'm not sure.
And what were your parents' names, Joe?
My father's name was Tom, and my mother's name was Sika.
How do you spell that?
S-I-K-A.
Sika. And her maiden name?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Where were your parents from?
Bulgaria.
Bulgaria?
Mm-hmm.
I think in conversation before, were they near Macedonia or from Macedonia?
Probably. I'm not certain, but in that area.
Do you know what village they were from in Bulgaria?
No, I don't.
I see. And did you have any brothers and sisters?
I got a sister.
And her name?
Annette.
Annette. And where did you folks live when you were born there?
Boy. And I remember a name of Emming Street.
Yes.
You remember that?
I remember the name, yeah.
Yeah, we lived there for a while. Then we moved to Westwood.
To Westwood? We're at in Westwood.
Oh gosh, Queen City Avenue.
Uh-huh.
And well, that's about it. And had a garden. My father had a garden then. And
what church did you folks go to?
at that particular time, never went.
Uh-huh.
Then later in the years, in the 50s, I think it was, early 50s, I sort of joined Westwood First Presbyterian Church.
I see. And what schools did you go to as a youngster?
Westwood School.
And where's that at?
On Harrison and let's see, Harrison, Epworth.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with it now.
Yeah, school was between Harrison and Epworth.
Yes. And that was through the 8th grade?
7th, 6th.
Okay.
6th grade. Then from there I went to Western Hills, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 12th.
Okay.
I graduated from Western Hills.
I see. What year did you graduate?
49.
1949. As a kid growing up, did you have any jobs that you had?
At the time I graduated, my father told me, he says, well, due to the fact this is middle of summer, I don't need you. So what happened, I just stayed home and cut the grass and all that stuff. And then one day he says, you might have to come to work early. I'm going to teach you how to do stuff. And I says, well, I don't care. I wasn't doing anything. I stayed at home. So I just went down and started learning. It was a restaurant, Empress Chili on 5th Street, which was across the street from the Greyhound bus station.
That's right.
Yeah.
And right across the street from the Barber College.
Yep, I guess so. Yeah, right across the street, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. And what was that location again on 5th Street?
5th Street, 5th and Sycamore.
By the bus station.
Yeah.
And it was called Empress Chili?
Yeah.
I see. And when did your father open that business?
1922. We're the oldest chili farm in the city.
I see. Where did he first open up at?
That was the first one on where the Gaiety was. At that particular time, their name was the Gaiety Theater. And
Right.
later in the years, what was it, 37, somebody just said something up earlier that it was 37, was it? And what happened was he didn't like the name Gaiety too much. And he came home one day and asked my mother, said, what kind of name do you think we ought to use? And he, what's the name of that theater? Use that. Empress. It was
So the
some
original,
people connected
Yeah.
Empress Theater with Emperor Chili.
so originally it was called the Gaiety Chili.
That's correct, yeah.
And it was right next to the Gaiety Theater.
Right. It was under the same building, under the same roof, really.
Yeah.
It was big enough, and we were right on, smack on an alleyway.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 1937,
We moved from there to Fifth Street.
I see.
Had a
And-
little bigger location. That's what caused that.
You had to have a bigger
Oh,
location.
yeah. And that wasn't big enough either at the time.
Now, your father was the first to open up a chili parlor in Cincinnati.
Well, him and his brother, John, my uncle, they both did it together.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
And how long did your dad have the business?
He passed away in 1966, 68 or 66, I'm not sure.
I see. Did you carry on the business? as
Yeah,
you-
I came home from Korea in 1953, and he had a stroke. So I just sort of walked in. That's about it. I was 23 years old when I got out of service, and the other fellows that were working, we had a staff of 22 people. You know, not just one or two. And well, I was 23, and some of them people were 50 and 60-year-old men. And a lot of times I came home and I even cried due to the fact that they wouldn't listen to me. I'm not listening to a little kid over here. And then my mother sort of spoke on my behalf and told him, said, he's going to be the boss now. And that's what happened, and it sort of worked all right.
Is Empress Chili still in business?
Well, yes and no. That's hard. I sold the business in 2009, and the fellow that owns it now is a lawyer. He was a lawyer when he bought it, but he sort of went downhill with it. He don't know what to do. I'm trying to buy it back.
What was his name?
Jim.
And where's it located at?
Well, what it was, he didn't buy a restaurant. He bought the main office, main plant. Everything went from there. We went to frozen too. We went to frozen chili, and we just sort of had Kroger. We had Kroger for 50 years.
And now they have.
They don't have it.
No.
Mm-mm. I'm going to try to get it back.
Good.
I have an idea what to do.
Good. So there's no location open right now.
Well, we got 3 locations.
Oh, we,
The one in Alexandria, one in Indiana, what do you call it, down by
What?
275,
Lawrenceburg.
Lawrenceburg, and one in Maysville.
Ah, okay. Now, so your father and his brother were the first actually to have the first chili parlor
Right,
in Cincinnati.
right. The Skyline was started, they worked for my father back in the late 30s and early 40s.
And what were their names? Their
Lamborghinis.
Lamborghini.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're still in business also.
Well, Skyline is, but they're not. I think they all passed away. The 2 brothers died. Their father died in early 40, 50, maybe late 60.
Any other families that worked for your organization and then opened up their own chili parlor?
Oh, a couple fellows did try it, but that didn't last very long.
Any names we'd be familiar with?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Now you obviously had a secret formula.
Yes, it still exists. Still exists. They wouldn't. I mean, it's just the way it's done, and ingredients. Our ingredients are already pre-made, prefixed, what you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. Nobody. You know, somebody can get that and steal it. It won't do them any good.
They can't duplicate
No.
it. Yeah.
And I imagine the other people, the competition, I wouldn't be surprised if they're just do the same thing.
Now,
You know.
we think of, what about, was your family ever involved with like the Circus Honest family? or-
No.
No?
Mm-mm.
That's a different.
I had an uncle who was in the service.
No, it's Circus.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you said Circus.
No, it's Circus Honest family. They were mostly over in Newport, I think. Dixie Chili and
Oh
stuff.
yeah, Circus Honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew him.
Charlie and
Yeah, Charlie.
and Gus.
Yeah, I knew Charlie.
Yeah. They weren't ever affiliated with your.
No.
No.
No, they had their own stuff.
Yeah.
They had their own stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you graduated from high school in 1949.
Right.
And your dad didn't have anything to do for.
Well,
So
he had a stroke, and oh gosh, before I came home, the doctor told my mother that I'll get an order, and I can bring Joe home right away.
Hardship discharge, or
But then they said no. My mother said no. He'd be coming home in another month anyway. This was my March.
well, what did you do between 1949 and 1951? When you,
I worked for my father in a restaurant downtown.
oh,
Empress.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And what was the date of your? Were you drafted?
I
Or
was drafted in 1951.
you remember the
June.
date? June of 1951.
Mm-hmm.
And so you went into the Army, and where did you join at?
Here in Cincinnati.
Down
Yeah,
in
we
government.
all had to meet at a certain location, and from there we were sworn in.
And where did they send you first?
Camp Gordon, Georgia. Basic training,
Uh-huh.
and from there I went to. I'm trying to think. I went to New Jersey.
Kilmer,
No, Fort Monmouth.
Fort Monmouth. Okay.
Biggest radio and radar school in the country. At that time, I don't know what it is now. I would assume it's the same.
So they obviously had chosen you to learn radio.
Radio, telephone, radio more or less. I learned telephone by being overseas.
Mm-hmm. And what did that school consist of? Or
School,
what could
like
they?
a class, like a
Yeah.
college.
Yeah.
Then you just, whatever you were doing, what subject or what part of a radio, how do you put a radio together, and things like that, or how to fix them if they go bad. Now the radios I'm talking about are strictly Army radios, not a transistor radio that somebody had in his pocket.
Right.
No. But I worked on those.
How big were these radios you were using?
Well, the most one we had over there was a Zenith transistor. I don't know. I got one. It's about that big. They're about that big. And I brought one home. Somebody needed some money, and he said, "How much you want for that?" I told him, "Okay, I'll pay it. I'll give you $50." He took it, and I brought that radio all the way home.
Good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
It works too.
Now they work off electricity or
Battery. But the batteries are about like this, about this long, and about like this. There were.
Is there a number for that type, SB or something like that?
No, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Now, what did you have to do with telephones?
We had a telephone in our quarters. Well, Company A, I think we were Company A. I don't remember that one either, but I think we were Company A. Well, Company C would call in, well, we need this, that, and this. I said, well, come on up and you can have it, whatever it was.
And they'd contact you mostly by radio?
Mostly by telephone. We didn't use radio too much at the time. We had a AM radio and a FM. We had a 3/4 ton truck, and they were fastened to the back end with the antennas up hanging and all that goop. Yeah.
Now, how long was that school at the,
I went 6 months.
6 months?
Mm-hmm.
So we're already now getting into 1952.
Mm-hmm. I left from Seattle. We went to Seattle. And I left from Seattle January 30th. I think it was the 30th.
Of 1952.
Uh-huh.
And what, are you traveling by boat or plane?
We went by boat, 21 days. We went to Japan.
To Japan?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the guys remember the name of the ship they were
I
on.
don't remember. It was a sister ship because we came home on a sister ship at the time. He said, "This is a sister ship what you went over on." I said, "Well, that's nice." I didn't know that. I can't remember the name. Come out high water.
Yeah. So it took you 21 days, and where did you land at? In what city?
I think it was Yokohama, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, on the bay, just down from Tokyo.
Right.
Okay. Now, are you assigned by now to the 65th Combat Engineers?
Correct.
Right out of.
Yeah. When we landed, and they separated us. I mean, you went there, and he went there, and I went someplace else. And it was so many fellows going to this unit.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 2 or 3 of us.
Yeah. So, what base are you on while you were there at Yokohama? You don't recall the base?
No.
Or you, how long did you stay there in Japan before going to Korea?
Oh gosh, maybe 10 days.
Yeah. So you really hadn't got into a
No,
particular base.
nothing yet. No,
Yeah.
no.
So,
I didn't know nothing yet.
So, how did you get to Korea? Did you fly or did they?
By boat.
By boat?
Like I said, a sister ship.
Oh.
Like I said, when I came home later, it was a sister ship to one we went over on. I said, well, that's nice.
Yeah. So from Japan to Korea, you went on board ship
Yeah, it was overnight deal.
overnight.
Overnight, yeah.
And do you recall where you landed at in Korea?
I think it was Incheon.
Up in the northwest.
Mm-hmm.
And where were you? Lead us from there, your experiences in Korea, if you would, after you landed.
Well, we were picked up by a truck. It was a lot of fun. Open truck.
Yeah. Not too far from the border.
Yeah.
There's a lot of combat going on there, and
Well, when we landed, I didn't hear nothing. You know, especially guns and stuff like that, mortars or rockets, nothing like that.
so where did you go after you landed there? An open truck.
I think we were in a punch bowl. If you ever heard that,
I've heard it, yes, but I'm not familiar with it.
it was like a, oh golly, get a bowl. Your wife might have a bowl like this,
Mm-hmm.
like a fruit bowl or something. And pretend it's a great big thing, and we were based on top of that. Our tent was on top of that.
And how close to the 38th parallel was that?
Well, we weren't that close at first,
Mm-hmm.
but there one day that we were, I think we were awake for 36 hours. Never went to sleep. I remember something like that too. We were on the 38th. I mean, I just took my hand or put my hand up, and somebody said, "You better get down before you have your head blown off." I said, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
You know, you learn things that happen. You know.
Right. Are you attached to the 25th Division
Yeah,
now?
25th. Yeah, I wear the 25th patch,
Uh-huh.
and I got a like a sport jacket. Not what I brought in. That's what I brought in was thinner. But I got a sport jacket for Christmas one day. You know, I don't know how many years ago, and it's got the ribbon, 3 ribbons on it. Yeah, I was in 3 battles. Personally, I was not. Like I said, we were a backup unit to our infantry.
Yeah. What were those 3 battles? Do you recall?
No, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
The division was as a whole.
Yeah. And so where did you move to after the Punch Bowl? How long were you on the Punch Bowl there?
A while, pretty much. I was there altogether. I was there for 14 months. 14 months I was there. Then this was like March, if I can remember, March, and I didn't have much more to go due to the fact that I was coming home. I had 41 points. You need a 40 to come home. I had 41, and I got a call from the CEO. He wanted me to go to school in Japan. I said, what kind of school was this? He says, electrical school, generators, almost half as big as this room. And I said, why in the world am I going to school now? I'll be coming home in 3-4 weeks. Well, we asked you if you want to go. I said, I'll go. I was thinking, well, I'll never see Japan. I got a chance to see Japan. So I went. There's about 6 of us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not just me. There's about 5, 6 more others. And a couple other units, like Company B or Company C, I don't remember that one, but what happened, they got 2 guys from there, 1 guy from here, well, they got me from A.
You were Company A, 65th
Yeah.
Combat
Engineers, yeah.
Where'd you go to in Japan when you decided to go?
We went through Yokohama, Nagasaki, or who was the other, Hiroshima.
Yeah.
We went there. You would never know it, that the A-bomb hit.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Couldn't even tell it, just like you see this. Never know it.
And that's 1953. It was
Yeah.
already rebuilt, huh?
That's right.
That's the first explanation of that we've had. I always thought it would have been in ruins.
Yeah,
for
no. Like I said, 53, yeah. Yeah.
Did you go around the site there where the bomb hit?
No. We were, I don't know, going through sort of with a truck or bus. I think it was a bus. From point A to point B. Just going to our quarters. I was there for 6 weeks. Oh golly, it was over the Christmas holidays. Because I got there right after Thanksgiving, I think it was. And I told the guys when I left, I says, you're going to get a great big package from my house, from my mother, from my sister. You know, cookies, crackers.
Chili.
No chili. In those days, we never had it in a can. There's no way in the world we could, send it without
Right.
refrigeration. In the can, you don't need refrigeration, but we weren't that far. Then we got that far after I came home. We had an advertising man who wanted to say, I got an idea for you. And with the frozen, and he started it. But no, there was no chili over there.
So after you, where at on it? Do you recall the vicinity on the 38th you were?
All you see is hills. That's all it was, just hills. Like,
what was, and what are you doing there as you're living out of a tent, are you?
well, we were in a bunker.
In a bunker?
Yeah. I remember that. Okay, we never slept for 3 days.
And what was it, why?
We had to stay awake because the Chinese are right on the other side of that wall. You had your rifle with you too.
Did you carry a Garand?
Had a
Or a
M1.
carbine?
M1.
M1 Garand, yeah.
We didn't eat it or nothing. And after 3 days, the Turks came over. That was a welcome of sore eyes, boy. And we got out. We moved, 20, 30 miles back. And set our tents up again and all that stuff.
What was your purpose of being that close to the communists?
Supporting unit. Well, we had bulldozers, graders. We had a 3/4 truck and a big one too. Had a sides on it and take them off. And
Yeah, the combat engineers that we talked to from World War II, they were involved in a lot of times in
Probably.
building pontoon bridges and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
You were doing clearing areas or
Yeah, we try to, well, like I said, after a hard rain, over there in April, it rains 30 days out of 30 days. And that was hell.
muddy.
Muddy, right. Other than that, the graders would come out and all they would do is just sort of, it had great big blades underneath. You probably know what a grader was.
Yes.
And they cleared the water or the mud and off to the road. Yeah.
It's always at an angle.
Yeah. After it dried up and never rained all summer. It was hotter than a fruitcake though. God. I mean, 110, 120. But at nighttime, it was cold. Wouldn't believe it.
I was going to ask you about winter in Korea.
It was cold.
Did you spend a winter in Korea?
Yeah.
1952, you would have spent the winter.
Yeah.
How bad was it?
The weather was, it was cold more than snow. It did snow, but it wasn't 100 feet deep.
Mm-hmm.
The weather was, the coldness, it was cold. You wore a special kind of jacket, insulated jacket, you wore insulated boots.
Yeah, did you have a parka like?
Parkas, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. They just about keep you warm, I guess.
Oh yeah, you can, those boots, they're insulated boots. You put it, you can stand in ice water and you won't even know it.
Yeah. We still have Parkers
Yeah.
when I was in the
That's right.
56.
Yeah. That's a common thing you use, I guess.
It was. It's not
Yeah.
anymore, though.
Yeah.
Did you actually see any of the communist forces across the way?
No.
Were you fired on while you were there in the bunkers?
We were, but we don't know. Even still today, I don't know. We were shelled. And what happened was a day, I don't remember the time, but it was a day before we got orders that we're going to move out of here and we're going back further. We're coming off the line and we're going back further. I said, that's going to be great. But that night we got shelled. But now we didn't know if it was ours or theirs. We never did find out. I said, I wonder who in the hell is throwing this at?
Yeah.
We don't know. So what happened was everybody moved out but 5 of us. The telephone and radio. I was one of the
5.
one of the 5, yeah.
And how long did you have to stay there?
Overnight.
While everybody else was gone?
Everybody else was gone. And then they came after us the next morning. They came after us and said, come on, let's go. We went back. You know, back with our unit. We don't know what was going on. Because that was funny, sort of, because we were told the day before we're going to move out tomorrow morning or tomorrow night. Well, instead of moving out when we were supposed to, we moved out the day before on kind of shelling. Like I said, we don't know if it was ours or theirs.
They may have had intercepted your communication.
Well, yeah, they what happened, they didn't want to hang around.
Yeah. What rank are you at this time?
PFC.
PFC?
Yeah, I was up for corporal twice and never got it.
That's unusual, isn't it?
Well,
I laugh because you have to forgive me for laughing because
that's all right.
I was a corporal twice.
Were you?
Yeah.
Well, I was up twice, but the first sergeant put me up for corporal.
Yeah.
Because I was doing this work and all that.
Right.
And CO didn't do it. Well, what happened was when we moved to another area, like let's say we're sitting here on Vine Street. That's where you have to go 2 blocks down the street. Well, all the tents have to be rewired for electric. We had a generator and everything. And what happened was that the CEO come to me and says, we need some wire for the lighting. I said, yeah, I know. Sir, where am I going to get it? I don't give a damn if you steal it. You go get it. Well, I told him, I said, I'm sorry, but I've never learned how to do that. Steal something from someone else. I said, I'm not going out and steal it. And that's number one. Number two, I don't know where in the hell to go. You know? I don't know where to go. Am I going down this way? Am I going down this street to get it?
He'd never had anybody talk to him like that
That's
either.
right. He didn't like me.
So he punished you by not promoting him?
That's right. I think so. I think so.
Yeah. That happens
That happens all the time, probably.
yeah.
Something like that. The CEO, he was a nice fellow. I mean, I liked the guy. You know, we had fun, and I used to show the movies for the troops, and then when we were done with that, I'd go to the BOQ.
You got to go to the Bachelor office quarters? Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I show the movies. Like
Oh, okay. I got you.
we had well, Doris Day just passed away,
Yes.
but she was in quite a few of the movies. Comedies, no war pictures, nothing like that. They were like an hour and a half, 2 hour movies.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them were 2 reels.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Where did you learn to do that?
I did. I learned it right there.
Right there. Huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you make any lasting friends in the outfit you served with over there?
Oh yeah. And I met one guy who lived in Cleveland. And I didn't know where in Cleveland. I did because I would have called him or wrote him or something. I don't remember his name now.
Mm-hmm.
And when we met, I said, "Oh my God, this is great! I got somebody from home."
Yeah. Nobody though that you're currently in is.
Not now.
Have you ever?
I
gone?
belonged to VFW,
Yeah.
but none of them people are. Quite a few of them are from World War II,
Yeah.
and most of them are from Vietnam or Korea.
I think a little bit off the subject though. I think if you come to the Hornet group, you're going to meet a couple of guys that were real close to you in vicinity. But we'll talk about that later. This is more about you than anybody else.
Yeah.
That, you have 3 ribbons I see here.
Yeah.
Korean War.
Well, one was presidential citation, one was UN, and what was the other one?
Korean.
Korean ribbon, yeah.
Yeah. You know,
We got 3 battle stars on it.
that means you were in 3
Battles. Yeah,
3 battles.
The unit was, yeah.
Most people don't realize that was a United Nations affair.
Oh, gee, thanks.
I'm talking about people.
Yeah.
Well, some people don't even know we had a war in Korea.
Well, today they don't.
Today, that's
They
what I
don't.
mean.
They don't today. They don't even probably teach it in school anymore.
No. So I'm just curious. You mentioned the Turks.
Yeah. Turkish.
I had a friend, Paul Masali, who was a decorated Korean veteran, a Greek fellow.
He was Greek,
Yes.
was he?
Yeah. And he said those Turkish guys were barbarians.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just wondering if you.
We heard that the Chinese or the North Korea didn't like those kind of people. When they seen those, they took off.
Yeah, they took no names. They didn't want prisoners.
Right.
Did you have an encounter with any other nationalities while you were
No.
over there besides the Turks?
No. Well, we didn't see them directly. We knew we're going to move out tomorrow morning, and they came in a little bit later, maybe around noon or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Got an itch. Yeah.
Did while you were over there, sometimes we heard about different Hollywood groups coming over to entertain the troops.
Well, yeah, Bob Hope came over quite a few times.
Did you get to see him?
Once, but I was like, seemed like I was 50 miles away though. I mean the whole unit or whatever, the whole company.
Yeah.
you know, and the stage is about 100 miles away.
Yeah.
Seemed like it. Or you see him over there. You can hear him because they had speakers all over. He was good. I mean, everybody liked him.
Mm-hmm.
And the movies I played, you know, like I said, Doris Day and comedy shows and stuff like that.
Any female movie stars come over with him that you remember?
He probably had them, yeah. But again, they were so far away.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were pretty or ugly, which was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So he always had a couple girls with him.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But he was good. You get in line, or you try to get in front by the stage as close as you can get. When you hear about it, you go stand there all day. You're going to be there that night or late afternoon or something like that.
Joe, when you was sent back to more training in Japan from Korea,
Yeah.
what kind of training were they going to give you there?
Learn about electrical generators, like oh gosh, like 100 watt, 150 watt kilowatts or something. I mean, the generators were almost half as big as this room.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean, they could probably light up LA.
To run a whole base off
Yeah.
of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't figure it out, but I took the opportunity to do the fact that I figured I'm never going to see Japan. I'm not going to come back over here to Japan. No, there's no way.
Yeah.
So,
did you do any shopping or things like that?
No.
No. Didn't bring home any souvenirs?
only thing I brought home was that Zenith radio I told you about earlier that some fellow wanted. He was broke, he wanted some money, so
Yeah.
$50. So I'll take $50.
So did you stay there until you were discharged?
No, I was discharged in Detroit.
Well, did you reach the end of your tour while you were in Japan?
Well, yeah, because my days were up. I had 41 points.
Yeah.
And some people had 44, 45.
So when did they send you home then?
I had 41 points. It was I got discharged in June.
Where?
Um,
What city were you
I
in?
think it was in Detroit.
Detroit.
We got our papers, yeah.
How did you earn a point?
Well, I don't know how the Army figured it or whoever figured it. Well, I'll use Cincinnati as an example, try to explain it. Well, if you were based in Cincinnati, you might get 4 points. That was the highest you could get. 4 points. You needed 41, so that tells you how long you got to stay there.
Yeah.
Okay, but now let's say you move from here to Dayton, Ohio. It was only 3 points. You got points, but you only got 3 though. You're not in a war zone now.
That's for each month.
Right.
Okay.
And it went on. It went down to 3, 2, and 1. If you got 1, that means you're way back in the battalion headquarters. And even then, you probably never got any. I don't know. But I always got the point because I was always in a war zone, sort of.
Yeah.
Until I moved out of the war zone, the front, then I got at least 3.
Yeah. So you were up in where the action was. That's
Yeah, yeah. Like I said before, is that we were supposed to move tonight because we're moving back.
mm-hmm.
Instead of moving tonight, we moved last night due to the fact we got shelled. We got out. We moved the day before they were supposed to.
Right.
That's what
but
it
you
was.
still got shelled.
Right.
But,
But I didn't move though. I had to stay there overnight.
right.
In radio, I mean, you have to keep communication between you and somebody else. It might have been battalion or division, I don't know. More battalion than division.
So When you reach the end of your
Tour.
tour,
Mm-hmm.
they send you home. How did they send you home? And where
Let's see. We come home on a boat, ship.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in a Navy, on a Navy ship, of course.
Right.
This is not a boat, sir.
Yeah. It's a ship.
It's a ship.
Where did they land you?
I think it was Seattle. I left Seattle and came back to Seattle.
And what did you do?
Then from there we flew to Detroit.
Okay. And is that where you were discharged?
Mm-hmm.
What's the date of your discharge? Roughly.
April 23rd. What was that? 4 years, 3 years?
53.
53, yeah.
April the 23rd of 53. Yeah. I was 14 years old then.
You were 14, were you?
Yeah.
I was 23.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 80 now, and you're 89. Still the same range.
Are you?
Between us, I mean.
Yeah, right.
So you're in Detroit when you get discharged. Did you come home?
Yeah.
And
I don't know. I think I flew home from there, which wasn't very long.
I haven't asked you about girlfriends or wife or anything of that nature. Did you have a
No, I never had nothing.
while you're over there?
You
No.
mean over there?
Yeah.
No.
No, I didn't.
We were when we got to Japan, after we left here. Well, I guess we were in a hangar or a garage that put planes in it out of the weather or something. And we were I don't know how many, quite a few, troops were there,
Mm-hmm.
And they said, when you're going to go to Korea now. First thing you have to remember. And everybody else, what was that or what is it? You do not eat their food. You don't drink their water. You drink our water. The Army will give you water. We'll give it to you. We'll ship it to you in big tanks.
Right.
We don't want you to eat anything that grows on a tree, on a vine, or water.
That's right. From honey buckets.
What's that?
The honey buckets.
I don't know what they were.
That's what they carried on their shoulders.
Oh.
With
Yeah.
the human waste, and that's
Right.
what they used for fertilizer.
Right. That's the reason why.
That's the first thing they told me whenever I went over there.
You don't. If you see
Okinawa.
an apple on a tree, you don't touch it.
No.
It's very inviting. Look good, but
No. And don't drink the water either.
Right.
No, I didn't know if you had a girlfriend that you
no.
corresponded with. Or,
Oh, I wrote to some girl. That's about it.
Yeah. Did you get many packages from your mom?
Yeah, like Christmas. Yeah, and I sort of. I couldn't eat it all, so I just
shared them out.
Yeah, it's only in our communications section. We only had 4 of us.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. It don't take 10 people to run a radio.
Yeah.
It don't take 10 people to run a switchboard either. It takes one guy. And we did that.
You did that in shifts on a 20,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
24/7
Yeah.
on shifts.
Yes.
So, what's the first thing you did when you got home? This is
Go around and see all the people I lost for about 2 years at least.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, did you go back to work for your dad?
Yeah.
And you say your dad had a stroke.
Yeah, he had a stroke. Let's see, he had it in April. He got it in March. He got the stroke in March. He was paralyzed on the left side.
Of 53.
Yeah,
So you had to go to work right away then.
just about, yeah.
And you had one location then.
Yeah, downtown on Fifth Street.
Yeah. Did you ever have more than one location?
No, they never did do more. I mean, they could have opened 2 or 3 stores. It was 2 brothers. I mean, one of them could run a couple here, and my father could run a couple. No, they weren't interested. This is plenty.
But you had a staff of over 22 people working.
Well, they
for
were
you.
waiters, and had girls. And I stopped employing girls. It was easier to get a girl to work than to get some fellow to work.
And they worked on tips.
Oh yeah. Plus they got a paycheck.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're open 7 days a week.
Closed Sunday.
Closed Sunday.
At that time, yeah.
When we think of Chile, and forgive me for saying it, but I think mostly of Greeks nationalities.
You know something? That's wrong.
That's why I'm bringing it up. Yeah.
I had customers that went to Greece on vacation in the summer, and when they left here, they said, "We're going to get some chili in Greece." I said, "You are?" I said, "I bet you don't." "Why not?" "There's no chili over there." I heard about it way before they even asked me, or told me. So what happened? When they came back, well, maybe a month later, "Did you find any chili?" "No." "You didn't? I thought you said you were going to." "There's no chili. I told you that." "Yeah, you're right."
That's interesting.
Yeah. That's not Greek. It's more of a Spanish deal. It's a spicy food, not bland.
No.
You know?
But it has a distinct taste. I never did associate it with Spanish, though. How did your father, being Bulgarian,
Yeah.
Get involved in Chile?
Now you're asking the wrong person. I don't know. See, he started in 1922.
22.
Well, I wasn't born until 29.
Yes. He never told you, huh?
You mean how he started the idea?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. My mother probably knew how he started, but you know, a little of this and a little of that and a little of that, and he sort of got a formula for it. And I had to learn it because I had to blend it myself. I was murder.
So he actually came up with it.
He came up with the idea. Oh, him
by
and
his brother by experimenting.
Right. Yeah. Came up with the flavor and the taste and that. A lot of people think there's chocolate in it.
I was just going to say, I've heard there's chocolate in it.
Yeah, there's no chocolate in it. Nothing like that. No, not even cocoa. It's just the.
Well, Empress has its own distinct taste, and I like it.
Yeah, it's a blend of about 10 to 12 different spices. You know, maybe so much of this, a lot of this, a little more of this, and this. When you blend all that stuff together, and I guess you get a flavor of chocolate. Now they say Skyline's got chocolate. I don't know that either. I guess if you eat it enough, you might sort of get the taste of it. I don't know.
So, are you married and have children?
Yeah, I had two girls. Have two girls. One's not married. The other one is married. Got two kids.
And your wife's name, full name?
Carol.
And Weiss?
Weiss. That's her maiden name.
Yes, W-E-I-S-S.
That's correct.
I see. And when did you guys meet, and where did you meet?
She'll tell you. I met her at Empress downtown. I was doing everything. I was a dishwasher, mop boy, and everything when I started.
Yeah.
I learned everything of a restaurant. Somebody goes in a restaurant, I said, "Well, I think you're doing that wrong." Not necessarily mine. Maybe when we're visiting and they do something, I can tell they're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
I've been in it for such a long time.
Well, was Carol a customer? Or
yeah, she was a customer with one of her girlfriends she worked for PG&E.
Which is right here.
Right here, yeah. And they came over for lunch. And I cleaned the dishes off from the previous customer. They happened to sit there because it was so busy. We always were busy. We generally hit around, at that time we probably hit about 1,000 people in an hour and a half to 2 hour period. You had P&G, you had P&G gas company and the federal building next door. And you hit 1,000 people. That includes carry out and inside.
Yeah. So
She come in and I cleaned the dishes off from the previous customer, and I cleaned the table off, and one of the girls, I says, would you wait on these two? She took care of them. And I sort of went over and talked to her. At that moment, I wasn't rushed for to do anything, so I just sort of, we just yapped a little bit, and that's about it. And we started talking about baseball. She's a baseball whiz. And and she come up and says, I'm playing ball tonight. I said, where are you playing ball? She says, Kentucky. I said, oh, hell, I'll never find that place. I'm not familiar with Kentucky
Where?
at all. Kentucky?
yeah.
In Covington. I said, I'll never find it. Yeah. So what happened was, he said, you can pick me up. I said, what do you mean? I only live down the street on Bodno. So I told me what house and everything. I went and picked her up. I watched her play ball. She played softball.
And took her to the ball.
Major softball, huh?
Major league.
Major, yeah. The ball was not as big as a softball. It's a little bigger than a hard ball. A little bigger than a hard ball, but it's hard.
Fast pitch.
No, slow.
Slow pitch.
Yeah. Then I got into it too. In '86, I got into it. I inherited a team. We were national champions 3 times in a row.
From where? Cincinnati?
Cincinnati, yeah. We played all over.
What about that softball team from over in Newport? Joe Gatchett's,
Never heard of them.
world champion.
Well, we were world champion, World Series.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Of course, the guy I interviewed may have been lying to me, too.
I don't know. I never heard of them. You have to ask her because she may know who they are. She was in baseball
Yeah.
for quite a few years.
Now, so how long did you all go together before?
Almost. I don't know, almost a year. I met her in I met her in early October
Of
of 69.
69.
60, we got married in 70.
What was your marriage date? You better know it.
I know it, but it's, well, the date is 7/11/70.
Well, that's easy.
July.
7/11.
Yeah. Well, we were going to get married on Saturday, and my mother said, you know, Saturday is the 4th of July. Why don't you wait another week? Yeah, no, she didn't care. So another week made it 7/11.
Yeah.
7.
Good numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
And-
still with us.
Yeah. And how many children?
I had 2 girls,
And their names?
Tracy and Jamie.
And do they live locally?
Live in Mount Washington.
And are they both married with families?
One of them married, got 2 kids,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one's single.
And,
She got a boyfriend.
And what are your grandkids' names?
Brooks and Gabby.
And what's their dad's name?
Tim
And their last name?
Powell,
Powell?
Powell.
Yeah. Did Mrs. Kiradjieff work?
Yeah, she worked.
Carol, did Carol continue working?
You mean, yeah, she worked for a while. Then she sort of got tired. I said, "You want to work for me at the office, main office?" She said, "Yeah." And she came work with me for a few years.
Where was the main office?
Woodlawn, north of here, past. Oh, it's next door to Avondale.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Mhm.
There used to be an Oldsmobile dealer out there.
Who was that?
Gren.
Oh, Granger. Yeah,
Yeah.
I knew who that was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Woodlawn. Yeah.
Woodlawn? Yeah.
Were you there on Vine Street?
No, we were off of Glendale Milford Road.
Oh, yeah, okay, up and over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we were on that side street. It was called Titanic Terrace.
Okay,
It's sort of a dead end street,
yeah.
but the other end of it goes out.
So, why did you get out of the chili business, and if that's the right terminology?
I sold it. You mean when I sold it? You mean?
Yeah.
Well, I needed cash, and I
Okay.
just couldn't do it by myself.
Okay.
My daughter liked to take over, but this guy who owns it, he's not giving up. He's a lawyer. He's not giving up yet.
Is there a location open now?
Yeah, I guess one in Alexandria.
Oh, you had three. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Forgive me, Fred.
Yeah,
You got Alexandria,
yeah, Alexandria
and
and down in Indiana.
in Lawrenceburg,
Lawrenceburg.
Indiana,
Yeah, then Maysville.
and Maysville. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you're never involved with any reunions of the 25th Division or the 65th?
No.
No communications
No.
with them? Brian, you have some questions, I'm sure.
Sure. So Joe, when you got drafted, I mean, did you feel like you knew you were going to get drafted? Did you have a feeling, or were you shocked?
I was sort of shocked. I wasn't sure. I mean, they said they were drafting people, but I had no indication that I was going to get drafted. You know what I mean?
Do you remember the day when you got the notice?
No, I know. It was what was it? June 21st, I think. June 21st, I think it was. That I had a report. I got the card or something, maybe a couple of days or 2 or 3 days or a week earlier. I don't remember. Remember, this wasn't yesterday. It was 60 years ago.
Right. Did you have people you went to high school, anybody else who went to Korea that you know of, like before you went in? 'Cause
I know a couple of good friends. We were sort of bummed together, and both of them that listed in the Air Force. And they wanted me to go with me when I was 17, and my mother or father had to sign for me. So I didn't. I never went with them. I would have been in the Air Force, but they had to be in for 4 years at that time. I said, well, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go for 4 years. And I stayed out for maybe a month or two, and I got a notice.
How aware were you of what was going on in Korea at the time?
I'm sorry?
How aware were you of what was going on in Korea at the time before you went in?
Not too much.
Yeah.
No. No, you wouldn't. You don't dream about it. You know?
Well, I wanted to ask about your father. He opened the restaurant in 22, but how many years was he here before he opened the restaurant?
Oh, he worked. I don't know when he came. A few years before 22, and he worked. You won't believe it. Fifth Third Bank.
As a banker?
Yeah. I think he was a teller. I don't know.
Well, I was curious of whether he was over in Bulgaria during World War I.
He was. Well, I think he ran away. That's what really happened over there. He was being drafted by the Bulgarian or Greek army or somebody. I don't know. So he ran away and came to this country.
Do you know why Cincinnati? How he ended up in
He
Cincinnati?
was in a different state or different city. I don't know where. I don't recall.
But you don't know what brought him to Cincinnati?
No, not really. I mean,
No relatives or kin?
Was your mother an immigrant?
Yeah.
Did they know each other from the old country?
No,
they met
my
here?
mother, my father was in Cincinnati, and my mother came to Canada. That's the only way she could get here, and try to make it for her to be a citizen. So it wasn't too long after that, she had to go to school here. She had to learn English a little bit.
Well, how did your parents meet? Do you know the story?
They just met. That's all I know.
But was it here in the States? Or?
I think, well, they might have met over there, but I'm not sure of that either.
Yeah, right.
It makes it, that I don't know. But then when she came to Canada, he brought her into Cincinnati, he got the papers for her and everything.
So they got married here?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So he was in Cincinnati.
yeah, he was in Cincinnati.
And she came
Right, after that.
Well, then they had to meet before.
Yeah,
They had to.
they knew each other, I think, earlier, but he says, well,
Yeah,
I'm going to go
that
to the
makes
United
sense.
States.
Yeah.
And your uncle who started the business with your dad
Right.
was did he come later, you think, after your dad?
I don't know that.
Yeah, you don't know that.
I don't know that. He had a family of his own.
Right.
They were my cousins.
I think I read that your cousin was a player for the symphony, right?
Cincinnati Symphony, yeah.
Right. I forget what instrument did he play?
Violin.
Right.
Hmm.
For many decades. I think.
Yeah, then he became first violinist.
Yeah. When you, well, I have some chilly questions, but I'll leave that a little later. But when you were in Korea.
Yeah.
You were saying when you guys would have to move. I mean, how with all those mountains and things, I would think that would be logistically pretty hard. Like, did you have tanks and things with you that was going with?
We never had tanks per se, but what we would clean the roads off. We had bulldozers and we had graders. After, like I said before, it rained 30 days out of 30 days in April. And after that rain stopped, the graders would go out and clean the roads off. The roads were dirt. They're not paved like we got them. They were dirt, mud, especially after a rain. And it rained 30 days. I don't think it was mud. I think it was slop.
Right.
You know? And that was cleaned off, and you had a Jeep, you could get through. Had no problem. Jeep, 3/4, and the big ones had dual wheels in the back. I don't know what the heck you call them. The big trucks.
Dualies.
Dualies, yeah.
Yep.
And that was it.
Did anything get stuck in the mud?
A deuce and a half.
Every once in a while, a truck would get stuck or something get stuck, and we had to send the bulldozer out or the grader out to pull the idiot out. They said, it says, "What are you doing?" "Well, I got stuck." Yeah, that was rough.
So the radio operator, did you have to use a certain secret code to talk to different?
We used just voice. I remember I got held one day. And what happened there was we had, there was a password every night. We get the password every day. Every morning we would get a new password. I'll give you an example. I would tell you base. Base. And it's a 2-word password. And sometimes they change it. But I would tell you coming down the road, and I said, "Halt, what's the password?" And I would say base. Your answer should be ball. Base, ball.
Did you ever have a reply that wasn't the correct answer?
Yeah. Yeah. What I did, it was stupid, I guess. I wasn't thinking. I didn't know. What happened was, I told you base, and you're supposed to answer ball, B-A-L-L. And that's where it went. I said base, then I said, guess what? I made a mistake. I said correction. Correction. Then I gave the other password, which would be foot. Foot, F-O-O-T, ball, B-A-L-O, football. And sometimes just one word, but mostly it was 2 words. because we know what baseball is, we know what football is, we know what basketball is, and I sort of went with us, Americans. So when I said correction, the CEO heard about that. And he came in the company headquarters one day and says, "Who in the hell gave the word?" At first I didn't answer. I says, "Me." "Hey soldier, why don't you think?" Well, I didn't realize we changed it. It came down from headquarters someplace. That's why the two words, you know. So I'm sorry, it won't happen again. But he says, I said, "Well, what happened? We're still the same word. That was yesterday." He said, "Well, the Koreans will pick that up due to the fact their password is football today, it was baseball yesterday, so it must be the same group. They will associate that with the same troops. You know? Understand what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah.
That's right.
Did you have many encounters with top brass people at all out where you were? Any generals visit?
Generals, every once in a while.
Yeah. Did you have to get everything spruced up?
Try the best we can. Especially where it was. It was, like in the summertime, it was dusty. It would be a little windy like, breezy, and that dust would go up. You see the dust, oh gosh. It was sometimes it was hard to keep things clean. And you know, the tents are not airtight. The flaps on the bottom, they just lay down.
Did you have insects visit you? Bugs or anything?
Yeah, a few of them.
What kind of things were in Korea? Was it flies or
Oh,
something?
flies, yeah. I don't know about roaches. Not too much of that.
How many were in the tent?
Well, I think there were 8-man squad tents, but due I was in communication, we only had 4.
How was the chow?
SOS.
Is that what you like? Did you like SOS?
It was all right.
Yeah, I always thought it was good.
Yeah, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah,
But if you're hungry, though, you're going to eat it.
that's right.
You know.
A lot of people complained about it, but I always thought
Oh
it
yeah.
tastes good.
Oh, breakfast, noon, and supper. SOS.
And when you were showing movies, like was that inside a tent?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Did you have any control of what movies would come in?
No.
Did it show up? Whatever.
No. Whatever came in, I would show it.
What department handled shipping films? Were you in contact with them? Was there a
No,
division?
I would ask the first sergeant. I says, "Hey sergeant," I says, "What kind of movie you got tonight?" "Oh, we got a good one tonight." "What do you mean a good one?" "A good comedy." There's always a comedy film of some sort, or just a regular love story or something like that. Other than that, no war pictures and nothing.
Was it like 16 millimeter film? Or
Yeah.
8? Yeah.
Yeah. On the reel. Most of them not real about that big. Sometimes there's 2 of them because it was a long film. I said, "Wait a minute, I got to change it." I would rewind it, and it would be ready for the next one. I wouldn't rewind it when I'm doing the movie. "Well, we just ran out, the movie's done. Here, you gotta wait a minute." No, I sort of rewind it. When I'm done with the film, I rewind both reels, and then I would be ready for tomorrow. You don't want the BOQ to wait on you.
I noticed that you mentioned that you were fighting the Chinese. I've heard other guys we've interviewed say that. Did you feel like you were fighting the Chinese more than the North Koreans? I mean,
I know. I was on the 38th parallel, and I was North Korea.
yeah.
I don't know if the Chinese there or not.
Okay.
Well, really, we haven't seen any.
Yeah.
As long as I was there, we haven't seen any. We had Korean boys for washing clothes and stuff. They were nice people.
Did you pick up any Korean? Any phrases?
No, all I know is Idiwa. Never forget that one. Idiwa. That everybody used that one.
I was wondering when you came back to the U.S. I mean, did anybody even acknowledge to you that you came back from a war or anything? I mean, what was people's? Were they? We've had people sort of like, "Oh, where were you at? Were you on vacation or something?" I was wondering if you had any encounters
No.
like that, or
No. Well, maybe somebody teased you a little bit.
yeah.
You had a long vacation, didn't you? I said, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
So when you came back, you were sort of running the restaurant. Was your uncle still involved with it at that point?
Yeah, yeah. But he passed away later in '53.
Oh, okay. So not too long after you came back, he
Right.
passed away.
Yeah, he had what you call, I don't know if you ever heard of him or not, a shock treatment. He would feel bad once in a while. They gave him a shock treatment. You ever hear of those?
Yes.
On your head?
Yeah.
The hospital does that. Well, they did. I don't know if they do that anymore or not.
No.
No, don't they?
Not that I know. of.
Yeah, I haven't heard it either.
Jake Sweeney had 3 of them.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
So I think my father told him, or his wife told him, my aunt, you better stop taking those shock treatments because it's going to kill you. Nah, I'm not afraid of that. That's what happened. But the second one or third one, he didn't wake up.
Wow. Well, what was he being treated for?
What's that?
What was he being treated for?
Nervousness,
Okay.
depression maybe.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what they used, I think, didn't
Yeah.
they? He was nervous all the
Yeah.
time.
I guess you were the only one in the family that stayed in the restaurant business. Did your sister or cousin?
No, my sister never did, no.
Yeah. How about your cousins? Your uncles?
None of them.
You were it. Huh?
No, yeah. In other words, the way my father and my uncle, which was his brother, they had a pact. Whoever passed away first, the other one would get the restaurant. That's how I came in.
And how long were you on that location downtown on 5th Street?
Oh, gosh. We were there forever. I mean, we were on Vine Street and moved from there, where the Gaiety was, we moved from there to 5th Street.
Right.
Some real estate man talked to my father about it, said, there's a nice store on 5th Street, would you like to have it? It was 2,400 square foot, 24 by 100.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was, yeah, what kind of rent you got? It was, well, I was a little kid, well, sort of, and I didn't know what the money value was. So what happened? He said, yeah, I'll take it. So we moved over there. Well, the floods too. The flood came up to 4th Street, 37 flood. I remember that. You know, on 4th Street.
Right.
I knew a paper company. I don't know if you heard of Southfield Paper at the time.
Yeah.
Do you know them?
Mm-hmm.
Clem?
I don't know him, but I know the company.
Yeah. Well, they were good. He was good friends with my father. And what happened was, they were going to move. Every year they get flooded out, and they were a paper house. They had to put everything on the 2nd and 3rd floor. So, well, he moved because 4th Street was flooded, and he was on Front Street. And that was always flooded out. So they were talking together and said, well, if you're going to move, maybe I'll move. We'll move it. They moved a different location, about 10 foot away. Yeah, another bigger store. So, that's what happened.
Weren't you near that bus station, wasn't there Jimmy Skinner's Music Center? Like a country western
I don't know.
store?
If there was, I didn't know about it.
Okay. I was wondering if any, I know they would have people come in from Nashville and make some
Yeah.
appearances.
Well, you know
I
something?
wonder if you had anybody come in, like cowboy singers come
Yeah,
in.
no. I'll tell you something. The people that came off of those buses, they came in. People came. Excuse me. The people from New York, Pennsylvania, maybe lower part of Kentucky, Florida, whatever. Not one of those customers, those people came in that ate short. Do you know who was? Bus drivers. They knew us. All the bus drivers came over at one time.
Hmm.
We had Ohio Bus. You remember Ohio Bus? Ohio, it was a green bus with yellow stripes on it.
No, I don't remember.
You don't remember that either? Yeah, it was a green bus. The whole bus was green. Had big yellow stripes on it to identify Ohio Bus. And those drivers, they came over all the time.
In Ohio bus, were they just doing routes through Ohio?
Yeah, there were routes, but they would run further away than the regular buses. They'd run out further.
Yeah.
They might go to Dayton, Ohio.
Was that Greyhound that used to?
Greyhound, well, Greyhound was there.
Right.
It was called the Greyhound bus station.
Right.
And what happened was those drivers would come over,
Yeah.
not the patrons or the people or the passengers, whatever. They didn't know us. That's why. They don't know what the heck this was. They didn't want to try it.
I think I had read somewhere, I think it was in the early 60s, no, early 70s, I think. I had read an article about you
Uh-oh.
that you were asked by the Taft family, I don't know which Taft it was, one of the politicians, asked you to go to D.C.
Yeah.
to be part of a chili.
Yeah. We did.
thing.
We did.
Could you talk a little bit about what were you asked to do and who asked you and stuff?
We were asked to take chili to Washington.
To Congress or something?
No, it was to a show, to a food show.
But wasn't it like Bob Taft asked you or
Yeah,
something?
it was. And what happened? A tornado hit that afternoon, and we were driving to Washington. And the tornado hit that afternoon, hit the western part of town. Wasn't far from our house, but we sort of missed it. Yeah, and we wanted Taft to come at our booth so we can, demonstrate it. We wanted him to do it. He had to come back to Cincinnati and counter the tornado.
But I understand, wasn't it sort of a competition between Cincinnati chili and Texas
Well,
chili
a little bit, yeah.
or something?
I think it was. You might remember more than I do.
Two different kinds of chili.
Yeah.
I think
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was some congressmen, some politicians,
Yeah.
Texas ones,
Yeah.
with Ohio.
Yeah.
And who had-
No, there were a lot of people. It was like a big convention hall.
Okay.
Yeah, we did it. I think it was a big forest. We didn't have Taft. I think he was a governor, wasn't he?
I think so.
Taft, I think he was.
Yeah, it might have been the governors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had to come home. And we sort of lost him. Well, I think his cohort or somebody came over, but it wasn't like Taft. So that's where that was.
How long did you stay in the downtown location? Was it the 70s? Were you still there in the 70s?
70 or 71.
And then you moved to Bridgetown?
No, it was torn down. The city bought it.
Okay.
The city bought it from there, from the federal building all the way down to the corner. And I tell you, you know George Joseph?
I know the name.
That's
sure.
Columbia. It used to be Columbia Oldsmobile,
Yeah.
and he made more hell than anybody else. I don't want to move, and I'm not going to move. Take me to court, but I'm not moving. Well, finally, he did move.
Did you guys move like to Bridgetown or
No,
something? No.
no,
That's when you guys went to just selling it in stores.
right.
Oh,
Well, we
okay.
started. In 1959, we started with frozen. We had a fellow advertising agency, and the fellow's name was Bob Acom. He came in there one day and says, "You want to make some money?" I said, "What do you mean, money? How about putting this out on the market?" And Bob Acom had his own firm, advertising agency, and he used to come in 2 or 3 times a week each showing. Yeah. Do you know who? I'll tell you another one. Do you know who was Friss's first owner?
Meyer, wasn't it?
No. Friss now.
Huh?
Friss.
I'm not familiar with it.
Do you know that? You know who it was? You remember? You ever heard the name Dave Friss?
I'm not a native though.
You're not a native? Okay. You might as well jump out then. Hell, I don't need you.
I've heard the name Dave Frisch.
Dave
yeah.
Friss was the owner. He owned 45 stores, restaurants, in 60 something,
Yeah.
70.
Well, in the 1950s.
Then he sold it. He sold it, but I heard that he passed away, and he was a customer of mine. I even waited on him, and he told me one day, sitting on the back part of the counter, he says, "You know who I am?" I said, "No, you're another customer." He had a 3-way and a Coney and a Coke. That's all he ate every week.
I was just.
Well, they just sold Frisch's, you know.
Huh?
Frisch's was just.
Oh yeah, they were sold.
Just
It's
no.
a foreign. It's a foreign.
Yeah.
It's a foreign people that own it now.
No, yeah, they just bought it in the last year.
More than that, I think.
Frisch's.
yeah.
Oh, it's that guy Frisch's. Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking.
Yeah, that restaurant. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Matter of fact, they were working on that. One of the Bobby Height, one of the Doolittle Raiders, was involved in that transaction 5 years ago.
In that.
His son, rather, Bobby
Yeah,
Height's
yeah.
son. Yeah.
So he came in one day and he says, "Yeah, my name is Dave Friss." I said, "You're the one who owns Friss?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "What in the world are you doing here?" I said, "You got chili in your restaurants." He said, "I know, but it's no good." That's where he put it. So he come over. Yeah, I'll come here. I know where it's good here. That stuff we got is no good. I don't eat it.
Well, it's not as good as yours, but it isn't
No.
bad.
Well,
For a generic
yeah,
chili,
yeah.
it's okay.
What I read, Empress is the one who developed the,
oh yeah,
the three-way, right?
and everybody copied after that.
Right, but they were the first to do a
Yeah,
three-way.
everybody copied.
Right. What were the hours of the downtown location? What time did you guys open?
Oh, about 11.
You opened at 11.
Yeah, and it's open till 2 in the morning.
Ah.
You remember when the Cincinnati Summer Opera was at the zoo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a lot of those people.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, yeah. I guess not everything was open that late, huh?
that's right. And the women used to come down with long dresses, and they come down there with.
And Empress started the whole idea of having a chili parlor near a movie theater. I guess you would get movie theater crowds.
Well, we did. You mean in the old? You mean where the burlesque was? You mean?
Well, that or did Fifth Street get any?
Well,
any,
yeah, oh yeah.
theaters?
We get a lot after a football game. Like, I remember I was told, I never saw it, I didn't stay up at 2 o'clock, but I was told once, the Dodgers come here all the time. Lasorda, he loved the stuff. Tommy Lasorda,
Right. Yeah.
you know him?
Yeah, I know the name.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you that when I was a kid, there was a place at Little Mexico, right up here on Vine Street.
Yeah, I remember that.
On Saturday night, on the way home after
You couldn't get in?
it was 10 for $1.
Oh my gosh.
You remember that?
No.
Only else, but the wiener was this long.
Yeah.
And it was just cheese and mustard over it, you know, but it wasn't a regular wiener. But I was 15, 16 years old,
Yeah.
you know, and and I'd glom down 10 of them.
You could do it, huh?
Oh, but yeah, it was right there on the corner of the alley at right up on Vine Street. Yeah.
So then you kind of operated out of the Woodlawn area?
Yeah, we got a big commissary out there. Yeah,
So people could go, the public could go to the commissary?
you can't go there.
Oh, yeah.
No. Everything is just shipping. We pack it, we cook it, we pack it, and it goes to the restaurants at the time.
Oh,
We had 23 franchises at the time. I'm going back to probably 70,
yeah.
even 80, probably more 80. Yeah, we had 23 stores. But it wasn't done right. You know, there was something wrong there. Because Skyline, there was 5 brothers there, and each one borrowed $200,000. I made it $1 million,
Right.
and they all put up a couple restaurants, and that's where they are today.
Well, I guess what I understand is the Skyline brothers, those guys, didn't they start working in your restaurant?
Yeah, 1930s.
So, yeah, okay.
They worked for my father, not me.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I think Mom's about ready.
Mom ready?
Well,
If you're done, I don't know.
well, mine's not. My last question is not a chili question. It's so everything going on right now with the North Korea and everything. It's making the news a lot here in 2019. I mean, do you have any thoughts or opinions about everything happening with North Korea and all the?
Although I think he's just a bag of wind. I don't think he'll try anything. If he is, it's pretty stupid.
I don't think Russia or China's willing to back him with men
No,
this
I
time.
wouldn't think so either.
Yeah, we'll see though. But
They're going to be alone.
yeah,
Well, thank you very much for your question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was his lifetime.
Huh?
yeah. Well, Joe, we've reached the end of the interview, but two things I want to do. And I want to thank you for being a patriot
You're welcome.
and a good American, and thank you for being a veteran of the U.S. Army and doing this interview for us.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.